All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Al-Shah, Hashem, Kakwadash. Give honor to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, and Shalom to all the Akim to push the word of sincerity and in truth. It's Brother Barzar from Great Millstone, Atlanta. I just got a lesson going into the basically conquering and ruling over your tongue, which of course the tongue is the dictation of speech. It tells you also in Sirach how wisdom shall be found in speech, and also foolishness. Aside from wisdom, as the scripture quotes, is also foolishness. Everything is defined through what you actually conjure up, for lack of a better term, out of your mouth. And this is a thing where you have to actually dominate and rule over what you say. You have to be very, very calculated and very choice with your words when you're in certain situations, when you're in certain scenarios, when you're amongst men of a higher degree, when you're dealing with younger men. You all these things in your daily life, everything has to be very, very precise when it comes to your dialogues and your rapport amongst men. Through the wisdom that you actually spew out, that can actually show what manner of man you are. Whether you're a calm and collect individual, or you just lash out and say things any which way. The scriptures speak about strive not with a bold fellow. How do you know somebody that's a bold fellow? By how they speak, man. They just lash anything out. They say anything any which way, and any time, any scene and scenario, without any thoughts or regrets, any conscious regret of what may possibly happen in scenarios with them actually saying those things. And a lot of times when somebody is full of mouth and full of words, they get themselves in a bad situation. They basically, as the saying go, basically writing a check that their ass can't cash, man. You know, through just inking out a lot of BS with their mouth, man. So this is a thing for brethren, especially brothers that's coming in to just, you got to be quiet and listen, man. Listen and learn, and know when to, even when you speak, and knowing when to speak, because there's times where your words aren't even needful. So this is Sirach 19:6. He that can rule his tongue shall live without strife, and he that hateth babbling shall have less evil. Right, and if you're a brother that's always getting into some shit, or if you're a brother that is a man in your camp and he's always getting into a heap of madness, you got to question, like, what do you, how did you deal with this situation? How did the situation fester up and grow from that small situation to a large problem? To the point where so-called, you got locked up, or you, lashed out, and the results were, like I said, you possibly got locked up, or you got to fighting. You have to actually study these situations, and a lot of times it's due to the fact that a man can't rule his tongue. And of course, when you're young, you lack a lot of wisdom, you lack a lot of prudence, so your tongue is not seasoned. You're not seasoned with salt. You're not seasoned with understanding. And when you fall into situations and scenarios, you deal with them very brutish instead of very wise and practical. But that's why, as a young man, the first characteristics or attributes you should instill is being by yourself. Basically, you got to develop the skill and the art of reservedness. Being to yourself, learning, developing wisdom, developing prudence, so that when you're in situations, you'll be able to rule these situations with wise reasonings and wise sayings. You will have the proverbs and the wisdom of Yahweh Shema Shah constantly circulating through your through your mind, and that will actually help you go without strife, because it tells you also in Sirach 2 that fire, and basically if a man spit on the coals, um, or if a man roughly paraphrasing, it's two things that you could do to a coal. It says basically, if he spits on it, he'll put it out, but if he blows on it, then he'll ignite it, and both come from the mouth. So, due to the words that you actually say, it can dictate whether the situation will ignite or it'll quench. But you have dictation, and you'll have rule through what? Through your tongue, through what you say in those situations. And a lot of times the best thing is not what you say, but what you don't say. Keeping your mouth quiet and not even acknowledging the situation, and playing ignorant. Some of these situations you just gotta play the fool. Play dumb. The word dumb means not to speak. All right. Ignorant goes into the word root word ignore. You got to learn how to ignore situations, because a lot of times individuals are trying to bait you in and trying to get you into a situation to tongue tie you and to basically make your words fall upon you. Prime example, Yahweh Shah. When Yahweh Shah went through those trials, and they were testing him, and they were looking to make his words to fall upon himself, a lot of those times, what it said, he held his peace. He kept quiet, because he knew that they were trying to tie him in a knot through the words that he was saying and through false accusations. So he knew that he had to actually dominate and rule over his tongue. And we have to all emulate and replicate Yahweh Shah in all facets and all degrees, because he actually utilized these different wisdoms, in his daily walk. He meditated on these different scriptures when he was going through these harsh situations. So we should also. And he that hateth babbling shall have less evil. So you can't run your mouth. The word babble means confusion. You just running your mouth, just saying anything, any which way, just spewing anything that comes out. And most times babbling comes through what? Emotion. That's why the first thing you gotta train yourself in this truth is you gotta train your emotions, man. When you're in these situations, you gotta learn how to not get angry and get festered and frustrated, but to relax, calm yourself, and use your mind. That's the best thing. And when you're on these certain jobs, so to speak, or you're in high volume work, when you're in anything that deals with high intense labor or anything that's high intense, a lot of times when somebody's teaching you the ropes, they'll always tell you, stay calm. It may get a little haywire, but you don't go crazy with it. The best bet is when you're in any of these situations to stay calm. Calm and keep your mind collected and keep your mind relaxed, and think yourself through these situations. Breathe, just like when somebody's actually going through a heart attack in certain situations, they always say stay calm. You don't want to actually have your emotions to run high, because that will it'll freak you out. It'll freak you out, and your mind will go all over the place, and now your whole body is haywire. But if you stay calm and you focus, you can actually deal with the situation in a more wiser manner. And that's what all brothers have to always drill into their minds, is any situation to be relaxed. Don't overthink the situation. Use what the scriptures gave you to provide, and use these words of Yahweh Shema Shah, because the wisdom is known through speech, and the scripture says that wisdom is better than weapons of war. And so your tongue is an actual weapon. It can be used to sever out and to cut and to chop away, as it is written in Hebrews 4:12, or it can actually cut you. That's why it's known as a two-edged sword. And the scriptures speak about how the tongue, how the sword basically has killed many, but not close, and not close to the amount of the tongue. So this is Sirach 20:1. There is a reproof that is not comely. Again, some man holdeth his tongue, and he is wise. Right. So even in the times of reproofs and corrections, your best bet is to just hold your peace. Stay quiet in these situations. Learn to just hold back what your intents. Because a lot of times your intents, which a lot of those come from the heart, and it tells you that in Jeremiah 17:4, the heart is deceitful above all things. Who can know it? And another thing, who can conquer it? Which if you're a man that's always in tune with the wisdom and the words of Yahweh Shema Shah, you'll be able to dominate it. All right, and it's not an easy rule. You know, it's not easy to control your emotions. It's not easy to control your tongue. That's why I said it's an art. It's a discipline, and the first discipline is actually disciplining yourself and learning of Yahweh Shema Shah through these words, and then you'll grow. So, jumping to verse 6, some man holdeth his tongue because he have not an answer, and some man keepeth silence, knowing his time. Right, and that individual that keeps silence, knowing his time, that's a wise individual. You know, because you have an answer, but you know it's not your time to speak. So sometimes, even if you know a lot, even if you have a lot to say, it's not needful. A lot of times, it's not even needful. You know, that's why even in the spirit, you shouldn't quench another man's spirit, even if you have 1,000 things to say. If he has something to say, one man has to hold his peace and another man has to speak. You know, and that's the art in itself. Learning how to just keep yourself quiet, man. Because over talking can also go into pridefulness. You know, you can really dilute yourself from just talking too much, man. Even if it's wise words, even if it's um, you know, so-called wisdom. The scriptures speak about wisdom that's in season. If you're speaking of wisdom that's out of season, then it's basically regarded in the mouth of a fool. So, you know, this whole chapter goes into the tongue. I'm gonna read a little bit more. Proverbs 20 and of course the 28th chapter. They go heavily in the tongue if brothers want to read it when they get the opportunity. Um, verse 7, a wise man will hold his tongue till he see opportunity, but a babbler and a fool will regard no time. Verse 8, he that useth many words shall be abhorred, and he that taketh to himself authority therein shall be hated. So if you use a lot of words in situations, you're gonna be hated, man. You know, that's why the best bet is to be quiet and until the time is needed for you to speak, and you'll know your time. That's why this truth is about calculation and precise timing. Every situation has to be dealt with differently, and if you know it's a situation where, like I said, people are trying to bait you in and they're trying to use your words against you, your best bet is just to be quiet. You know, even if your emotions is high, even if you're enraged, hey, say for instance you get into it with your woman, you know, you can't, you know, it's certain times where your best bet is not to just run your mouth like a woman and shoot out the same emotional energy that she's giving to you. Your best bet is to show yourself a man and keep yourself quiet, man. Not taking, of course, not taking no shit from her, but it's a way, it's an art of how you deal with these situations, man. You know, that's why scriptures speak about comprehending much with few words. Few words tell and define a lot. Just hitting precise points, bullet points. All right. This is Sirach 28, and look for the scripture I just had. Salakia. Yeah, this is it. Verse 11. And haste contention kindles a fire, and a haste the fighting shed of blood. If thou blow the spark, it shall burn. If thou spit upon it, it shall be quenched. And both these come from out of thy mouth. So out of your mouth is dictated whether a situation will be quenched or whether it will burn. So you gotta actually watch what you say, and when you say it, you gotta watch how you say it. You know, because you'll jump in a situation and you may say it and you might have good intentions, but it's about how you is sometimes about how you say it too. That's why this truth like I said earlier, this is a true art, isn't it? It takes it's skill. That tells you that Sirach 1 and 18, how wisdom reigneth down skill. And if you don't have the full skill and the full capacity of skill to deal in these certain scenarios, you shouldn't be in them anyways, man. That's why brothers say you shouldn't be clubbing by yourself. You shouldn't be jumping in certain situations by yourself, because some men don't even have that level of wisdom, man. And if you a brother that knows a man in your church or in your camp doesn't have that level of wisdom, and he's doing these things, then you're supposed to your job and your duty and obligation is you're supposed to say something to that man. You're supposed to be on a level and get those things right, man. Keep those things aligned. All right, because certain situations will arise where a man might outmaster you through your naiveness and through your lack of wisdom in these different areas you in. You got to remember these individuals, these con artists and these bribers and scammers. They've been in their craft for 10. Some of them been in their craft for 10, 12, 15 years. They know how to talk to an individual. They know how to actually press points. Actually excite and entice your mind and actually draw you away, because they actually know how to get you and navigate you through their tongue. But you have to, that's why I said that originally, you have to be, when you first come into this truth, you have to be reserved, and you got to grow up through this learning. So when you're in these situations, you know the right way of dealing with these situations. So that's really the main point. This whole chapter is really bad when it goes into the tongue. Matter of fact, verse 17, the stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones. So that's the power of the tongue. The tongue is very, very powerful. It says it has the power to break bones, stronger than the whip. So it's actually a tool for injury. It can be a tool for hurt, and it can also be a tool for comfort, and a tool for exhortation and help. And that's why we use the tongue to cut demons off of our people, and also to actually comfort them through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah through these words. Verse 18, many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many as have fallen by the tongue. And a lot of men fall through the tongue because they don't know how to dominate the tongue, and they let the tongue dominate them. They let the tongue control who they are, and that's why situations will arise in a man to do something stupid, and he'll land himself in prison. Because scriptures speak about through the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So whatsoever abundantly in your mind is gonna present itself through your words, and through your words, action is shown. So before all these things are actually before these things physically take place, it first starts with you actually controlling your mind and making sure that you actually don't allow those evil spirits and those evil intents to actually dictate how you move. And that's why, going back to what I said earlier, it first starts with using this wisdom, learning this wisdom, and controlling this wisdom, and letting it dictate and basically help you maneuver through your daily walk. And I'm going to end it with this scripture, Sirach 32:8. Let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words. Be as that one that knoweth, and yet holdeth his tongue. So you have to hold your tongue in these situations. Be wise as a serpent, as the scripture says, and harmless as doves. So that's the main point I had for you, Akim. Hopefully you brothers are edified. I'm going to end it by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Shah by Shem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And Shalom.